Good evening, everyone. Today marks the culmination of the first major chapter of our lives. It is a time to acknowledge the accomplishment of simply getting this far. I think we all deserve a little celebration after the more than 240,000 minutes spent in classrooms these last 4 years. On this momentous occasion, it only seems appropriate to consider what advice the great sages of our era might have for us. So naturally, I turn to comedian Jon Stewart for inspiration. Here's what he once said to some graduates, and I quote, "The unfortunate yet truly exciting thing about your life is that there is no core curriculum. The entire place is an elective. The paths are infinite and the results uncertain." As difficult as it may be to trust a professional wise guy for advice, I have total confidence in Mr. Stewart's ability to provide us with a little guidance. And in all seriousness, he makes a very valid point about the role of exploration in our lives. We'll likely never again live in such a rigidly structured way as we have in high school. There will be no more mandatory classes beginning at the peculiar time of 7:32 a.m., no more 17-minute homerooms, no more cap testing, and no one to check to see if we did our homework. In the next stage of our lives, we alone will be in charge of making sure we do something productive, something that will not only transform ourselves, but that will ideally also shape the world. No one will be telling us what to do anymore. Well, with the exception of our parents, of course. In the future, we'll have the freedom to develop our own curricula, sometimes literally, but mostly figuratively. As we do so, we should avoid the tendency of feeling confined to a life that we've hastily planned for ourselves. Because ultimately, there won't be any exact plan as we go off to college or enter the workforce. When Jon Stewart said that life is an elective, he meant that there were so many options for what we can all do with our talents, passions, and ideas. He also meant that there was no single way to achieve a dream or reach success. In other words, we should treat life not as a highway that we all speed along, but as a maze of back roads for each of us to explore. And no one has given us a map of these roads, because we must draw the map ourselves. Now, as proof that there are many roads in life, but that they're all likely to take us to some desirable destination, I'll provide an example. Harrison Ford, one of the most famous actors of our time, didn't even discover his interest in acting until his senior year in college. He then went out to LA, where he acted in insignificant bit parts in movies and TV shows, after being turned down for a job in radio voiceovers. Having achieved so little in Hollywood, Ford decided to take up carpentry on the side to support his wife and kids. He must have intuitively understood Jon Stewart's advice that life is an elective, because building coffee tables doesn't usually translate into starring in blockbuster films. However, Ford ended up building cabinets in the home of movie director George Lucas, who then cast him as Han Solo in the first Star Wars movie. The rest is history. Harrison Ford's biography is proof that oftentimes the most roundabout route is the best route. If he had viewed life as if it were some core curriculum, filled with requirements to be tediously met, he may never have reached his potential as an actor. We too must have his attitude that life is not a fixed agenda, but a place to freely explore. The life as an elective approach won't always be easy, but in the long run, it will be worth it. Undoubtedly, there will be times when choosing our elective will be challenging. But once we realize that there's absolutely no penalty for selecting the unusual elective, for experimenting, or for attempting to exceed others' expectations, our limitations will disappear. After all, these limitations are artificial because they're self-imposed. So class of 2014, as we take our next steps, let's remember that there's no wrong roadmap to life, just as there's no perfect one. In fact, there's really no map at all, except for the one we unfold for ourselves each and every day.